This podcast was created by fans for fans and is not affiliated with or sponsored by Hallmark or the Hallmark channel. Hey there, Sydney. I have a question for you. You're all dolled
Oh,
up in your bridesmaid's dress, looking at
hmm
that 7-tiered cake. What do you think? Is it going to be the key to happiness and wedded bliss?
You know what, Eric? It doesn't appear so.
This is Eric,
And this is Sydney
and this is Hallmark Mysteries.
and more.
Well, Sydney, how are you doing?
Oh my gosh, I'm living the dream. How are you doing, Eric?
You know what? I am doing great. It was my birthday last week,
Oh my
and
gosh.
while other people go ahead and get their big screen TV for like the beginning of football season, my wife got me a 77-inch TV for the kickoff to count down to Christmas.
Oh,
So,
wow. She knows you. She
yes.
knows you.
And the funny thing is, so we had a 55-inch, which fit
hmm
perfectly with the entertainment console we had. And to be honest, it was perfectly adequate size. But I've been like complaining, saying we need a bigger one. We want a 65-inch. We want a 65-inch. And finally, for my birthday, she surprised me the weekend. I was under the guise we're going to get a pedicure, and Best Buy is right by uh, the whatever the manicure place. And she's like, okay, we're going in. And we got in, and I talked her into the 77-inch. And she's like, okay, it's whatever, we can do it. And I got home and it was getting delivered. And I was sitting there watching TV going, holy crap, this is going to be big. And sure enough, it literally takes up the entire wall between a bookshelf and the edge of the wall. And our entertainment console under there now looks ridiculous. So my wife's like, I have to go out and buy an entertainment console. And I was texting one of my neighbors, like, oh my, we're watching hockey. And I'm like, oh, this is so awesome. And
Yeah.
he texted me a few minutes later, and he was walking his dogs, and he's like, yeah, I saw the TV through your window, but it had to
Oh
be
my God.
distorted because it's just huge. I'm like, no, that's how big it is. So it was
Wow.
absolutely fantastic to watch, checking it twice though to kick off the countdown to Christmas season. It was fun.
Well, Eric, I am not counting down to Christmas yet. I refuse. So I'm glad one of us is taking part in the early Christmas festivities, but I will not be until after Thanksgiving.
No, are you
I
recording
have to
them
have my holiday.
and going to watch them all, or are you just going to pick and choose?
So I'm just waiting to hear what you have to say, and if they're good enough for you, I will record them, but if uh if it's just anything, I think I'll wait because that's kind of how I was last year too. And I think that serves me well. Some people I didn't end up agreeing on all the movies. Like there was the one with Lacey Chabert and she had the neighborhood
Oh, Haul
like
Out the Holly,
yeah, that one was I think I found what's his face to be just too intense for me.
Wes
The way he
Brown.
was, yeah, with his HOA
Right.
style Christmas decorating. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well,
Someone came knocking on my door at 7 in the morning.
you are moving to a neighborhood with the HOA, I assume, right?
And I have a Ring doorbell. I'll be silencing that.
No, you're going to be having the HOA committee coming up saying you don't have enough Christmas flair going.
I seriously doubt that. But if that happens, I stand corrected.
Okay. So where are you at in cooking your baked goods for the holidays? Because you are living the Hallmark dream. So
So obviously, things right now have been a little bit on hold with everything that's going on, and also with the packing of everything. I don't have stuff at my disposal, but I usually start making my grandma's cookies at the beginning of December because I have to ship them to everyone in my family, and
what are they?
They're called Spritz cookies, and it's like a German thing, and basically it's like butter cookies with fancy sprinkles on top. And oh, but you use a cookie press. So it comes out like it's a long cylindrical thing that you put the dough in, and then you have the shape at the base, and then you press it and it comes out in the form. And I just don't know how that lady did it until she was 88 years old, and then she passed it on to me. But she was pressing those cookies, and she made like hundreds of them because they're small, and then you have to fit them all into a tin. I remember my first year I was like cramping while I was pressing the press, and there's so much butter that you're slip sliding all over the place
Slip slide, no way. Speaking,
on
so
a
you made me
cookie
think of
day.
something. I think I told you how I'm doing book club with my daughter and we're reading Hannah Swenson's.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm through 4 and two things. One, when she makes cookies and she gives the recipes, because she gives like the recipes throughout the book. So it'll be like the end of the chapter and it'll be, oh, how to make the chocolate chip crunch, cookie.
Mm-hmm.
But she's always like, this recipe makes whatever 20 dozen. Like, that's crazy. So, but the other thing I was thinking of is, and it was funny because I just finished a book and I was like, Hannah annoys Sydney so much in the movies. If you got to know book Hannah, I think you would be walking around and like, it's like people have what is it? The car rage, whatever, when you're driving, road rage.
Yeah, road rage.
You'd have Hannah rage because she is 10 times worse, 20 times worse in the books, with her just complete lack of boundaries, complete disregard for the law, the way she just stomps over people. It plus once again, the books have not they were definitely written in a different, the first ones
Right.
at least, definitely written in a different period. So there's also some of that to deal with. There's fat shaming essentially in every book and stuff.
Oh
So
my God. The
it's
boundaries though for me
yeah.
are the worst.
And
I'm
oh, it's
just
terrible, terrible.
okay, well, I
So
guess it's good that I haven't started.
but what we should do is we should switch over to
Mhm.
talk about Goldy
Oh
and
yeah.
Fatal Vows. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm so ready.
so what is Fatal Vows about? Well, let me tell you. Let me tell you what Fatal Vows is all about. It is when Goldie agreed to cater Tom's ex Jasmine's elaborate wedding, she didn't expect a dead groom and a missing bridezilla would bring her together with Tom again to catch a killer and find Jess. And of course, it stars Nikki DeLoach, Andrew Walker, Lachlan, and our favorite, JC Doughton.
Of course.
So
Yes.
before we go and dive into Fatal Vows, why don't you tell us what we'll be sipping on?
Okay, so in keeping with our 7-layer wedding cake, we are going with a signature movie cocktail of a wedding cake. And the ingredients are like whipped cream or vanilla vodka. You know, they have those vodkas that are in
I
like
know they
about
have it.
every
I
single.
have I have actually both, and I can tell you, I do not think they taste any different. Whipped cream and
Well,
vanilla to
okay.
me taste the same.
Well, because don't they put like some sort of a little like vanilla in the whipped cream? I don't know. Okay. And then you're going to do like a little bit of chocolate liqueur, a little bit of Bailey's. And then on the rim of your martini glass, you're going to put some frosting of your choice because some people are vanilla, some people are buttercream, some people are chocolate. And you know what? It's all for you. And you're going to have the sprinkles of your choice coating the frosting. And you'll just shake up those ingredients and throw them in. Well, just drizzle them into your martini glass.
Don't go
And then
splashing.
yeah. And then you have a nice little wedding cake cocktail to accompany your fatal vow watching.
So I sit here in my office where we record, and to my left is my bar. And as you're reading off all that ingredients, I'm like, check, 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 check. And then going back to the pantry, I know I've got the sprinkles and I do have some frosting. So I may have to make a wedding cake.
You know what? I just think that might be one of our most easy cocktails because most people have that stuff, I think.
Right.
So
And
try it out.
you don't need, like you were saying, you don't even have to dive right into it. You can go and get the little like airplane bottle of the whipped cream or the vanilla vodka too. So you don't have to go get a
Yes.
whole big bottle. There you
And
go. Super
sometimes those
easy.
bottles are so cute, Eric. They're like sometimes cuter than a perfume bottle. I love that.
I did get this one because I didn't want to invest in it because my wife likes her Tito's vodka, but I think it's like the Dan Aykroyd. No, Dan Aykroyd has the skull, but it's called Alien vodka, and it's got this little tiny, um, looks like a little, Area 52 alien
51.
or 51, 52. I've been drinking
Get your
vodka,
alien stuff right.
and it's green. It's got like a little green tint to it. It's a super cute one. Maybe I'll post a picture
Ooh.
of it on our Instagram for everyone to see. And everyone will go,
Ooh.
"What's the meaning of this?" But if they listen to the podcast, they will know.
Yeah, or especially on Halloween. Like you put,
Yes,
hey, for your Halloween cocktails, guys, you need this alien juice.
there we go. Okay. Well, you're ready now that we've got our wedding cake chilled and in the martini glass, ready to talk fatal vows.
I am ready, especially since that's one layer, just one layer.
Perfect. So, what, if anything, did you like about the third installment of the Curious Caterer?
Well, I mean, it was nice to see everybody again. I think I mentioned last time with or when we were doing our preview, it was nice to see Jamie, who's the maid of honor, who was also the best friend in Picture Perfect Mysteries. She looks the same, so I thought, wow, I need her wrinkle cream. But good for her. Uh,
It's only like
and
3 years ago.
yeah, I know,
I
but
mean,
three
come on.
years,
Well,
a lot
it
changes
was
in
a
3 years.
pre-COVID though. So COVID is, I don't know, 5 years of aging.
Our lives, yeah, basically. Um, and I thought that it was kind of funny how they had those Gen Z guys in the lobby. I understand in towards the end why they were there. When I first saw them at the rehearsal dinner, I was like, why are those kids there? But I liked their use of bussin'. That is a very Gen Z term. Um, and I I have to say, like, one of the highlights for me is I just really love Goldie's relationship with her husband. I know it's not true to the book version of things at all, but I just love it so much. I think that they make like this really unique and refreshing team, like when they do collaborate on stuff. And I don't know, it's refreshing to see that because the usual depiction of divorced
Right.
people is not nice. It's and
Like
while
the
I will
book.
say this, yeah, this is a Hallmark spin on things because
Right.
this isn't the normal case, but it is a nice thing to see. But and also
Now,
another
but are you just sort of maybe tainted a little bit because you like Lachlan so much?
I know I still love him from my White Chicks days. But
Like
I I don't
they
know. I
had
think
just some other dude playing him.
he
Like
plays like
maybe if they had like Brennan Elliott or Victor Webster.
yeah, I think that would be like he'd be too hot then. I like how he's kind of goofy. Like
Of
it's
course.
yeah. I mean, we don't need to relive his terrible kiss. Like if he gets another girlfriend, let's just you know. But
I
I
think
like that.
word went around town about his kissing, and so no one will date him now. That's what I heard, at least.
I mean, I can see why. But the other extremely refreshing thing, and this ties back to Hannah, is that Goldie is not a freak about asking invasive questions. She's like a reasonable level of nosy, and I think that it's just so much easier for me to um, like take than
Right.
someone who's following people around their house, and it's strange. And I also liked how Goldie said to Tom that he had flour on his face, but like it was just because his it's gray hair. He didn't
Right.
have any flour on his face. I don't blame her, but there was no flour. And then of course the two wedding dresses at the end, that was very comical and I liked that. What about you?
All right. I I did like how Goldy and Tom progressed to the end, where the relationship is making that progress that we want to see. This episode 3, which I'll get into later when we talk about the steam meter. But I also thought it was kind of a fun little twist because we always have sort of the nosy, busybody baker, caterer, whoever, librarian who's going around and solving these crimes and breaking the laws, and then the detective is the by the book one. Well, in this one, because Tom got his badge taken away, he essentially turned into that type of character because he had to be going around doing all that, sleuthing off the books kind
Mm-hmm.
of stuff. And so I found that a really fun twist that they did. The other twist that I liked was bringing in Nemesis Detective Track, and we find out like Marla may like the bad boys. So I thought that was, I there's some things about it in there, but the overall bringing in the like the Nemesis and all of that, I found that a fun little twist as well. One of the big things too was Mason. We've complained and complained and complained about how basically he's an incompetent buffoon character. In this
Mm-hmm.
one, I thought it was dialed back, and he was still had some humor, but he did not seem like a completely incompetent detective out there. So, and of course, like you said, it was the 3rd episode, so we are getting more character development, obviously, with across the board, and so that's good. And we know we've got 2 more to come, so that makes me happy that we're just progressing down the Curious Caterer road.
Yeah. And Marla had some cute zingers, like when he gave her a tip and she was like, I'll just put these towards my Gucci
Right.
shoes that
Oh
I
yeah, yeah.
want.
So
I
it
was
wasn't
like,
until
which
the end.
ones?
Yeah, it was that sort of, you know, opposite or not opposites, but where that the unexpected chemistry of them because they did not seem to be liking each other.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
we find out she may just like the bad boy. All right. What was it that you didn't like about Fatal
Okay.
Vows?
Well,
Do I
Eric,
need to
I'm
settle in?
glad I'm glad you asked.
I'll settle in. I'll have a sip of my wedding
Wedding cake?
cake. Yes, maybe I'll have to make another one.
Yeah. So I found that the fight at the rehearsal dinner was just kind of awkward. Like the way it was played out felt really awkward to me. I thought that Sterling played a drunk really badly, which I mean, I think it's hard to play a drunk anyway, so I kind of don't fault him for it. But Sterling was just, I know Goldie was kept saying, like, oh, I've never had any issues with him. He didn't seem like a nice guy. He seemed like smarmy and like he stole a lot of people's money and he all of a sudden shows back up in that town
Well,
where
his dad that stole the money technically.
yeah, but he's
But
benefited
yeah,
from that
yeah,
stolen money and he has no shame. And I
correct.
thought, ugh, gross. And you bring up Mason. I do think that his cluelessness was not as pronounced as usual, so it was more palatable, but it was still like a level of annoying where I thought this guy is not a detective. Also, is he always been a detective or was he like just promoted to one?
Well, he was just promoted because well, I don't know, because remember in the very first one, he seemed to have gotten bumped up to something, maybe like junior detective. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe now he's a detective detective. All right. So you thought he was still, you found him like, why I said, okay, I found him okay in
It
this one.
was
You still found him annoying.
it was toned down. I will give it that. Like someone must have said like, okay, he's acting so ridiculous. Like there's no way he's playing a detective. So they did tone it down, but a detective would have, I think, more instinct on some of this stuff. And he was just kind of still acting a little bit like a buffoon. But it was definitely more tolerable. And that ground search scene where like they're in a forest and they're looking for what's her face. I'm like, where did the forest come from? Is the forest behind the hotel, or where did they get this forest from? I don't know. It seemed out of place to me.
Well,
I don't know.
it all starts with wind blows and bees bring pollen and seeds go all
Oh,
around.
Eric, not literally. Okay. But
Okay.
and then when we see Jessamine for the first time in that barn and she wakes up and she's tied up, her hands are at a length, they're free enough, and her fingers themselves aren't bound, that she could have just gone like this. I actually rewound it just to make sure. And she can. She just could have taken her tape down. And I
She
thought,
was in shock.
I guess that, but she could pull it together. Um, and also, Tom tried to school Goldie on interrogation, saying she was terrible at it when actuality he was terrible at it. In the house setting when he is trying to interrogate, is it like Jamie's stepfather?
All
Um,
right.
that didn't go well from the get-go. And right away he was very hostile and strange. And I thought, how can you be telling Goldie she sucks at this when you really suck at it?
Well, I just find it
Kind of
weird
weird.
how like they do that and they just sort of like go from hostile to friendly to hostile to friendly with the family. So like they're back
Well,
at the house. I think you'd be like banished from the house, but whatever.
he has like this strange, like almost accusatory tone most of the time. I find like in the series, like most of the time he's kind of being accusatory of people, and I think, whoa, let's tone it down. I don't know.
Detective time.
And I thought it was kind of funny that Goldie said she whipped up those three different types of crackers. Do you remember
All
this?
right.
The
Yeah,
cracker.
yeah.
Oh, it's like two of those are Cheez-Its, and then the other one is Cheez-It Grooves. Let's not, as someone
That's
who loves a cracker, I know what these are.
Goldie knows how to cook it or bake them, so they look like that. They did.
Mm-hmm.
I know they did look extremely like a Cheez-It, but that was Goldie's handiwork. She's very talented.
Right. Okay. And then I definitely don't like Detective Track for Marla. And I said, and I quote, he's a fart. And and then in the end, all we get is a dessert metaphor, no freaking kiss. Again, I'm like, not nothing. What is this? Nothing? Not a peck? Not on the forehead? Not on the, or
Uh,
just longingly
no,
looking
wait,
at
wait,
each
wait, wait,
other?
wait, wait, wait. A peck in the forehead would have been worse than what it was. That is like, uh, yeah, a peck in the. I don't even know what a peck in the forehead is like. What you do to the person you don't like or something as you bid them
A
off
person you
to
don't
like in the
like, you don't
Titanic.
talk to.
Like you're giving someone a goodbye kiss while you hop in the life raft and they're still on the Titanic. Like, bye, hun.
Well, don't worry. If that was the case, Goldie and Tom would just tell each other they're a dessert and say goodbye. There would be no
They'd be the
kiss.
band playing the violin as it's sinking.
She'd be giving everyone food. Sinking.
Uh,
Okay, what about you? What did you not like?
I found like the rehearsal dinner and this beginning the whole thing. They just threw way too many characters and everything that was a little too similar all at once. So I was like scrambling trying to keep track of who's this guy now? Who's this one? Wait, is that the boyfriend now? Is that the whoever? And I know we met Chester before, but I still didn't remember him because he just looks like they all look alike anyhow too. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, who's who? Who's who? So I was just whatever. It was a little overwhelming. And I know, in the British ones we like, especially Agatha Christie, they do a whole bunch of characters, but they sort of like evolve them into you. Versus this one just seemed like we're just going to put them in the Yahtzee cup and there we go, suspects galore. The other
Yeah.
thing is, I just overall, and one of the things I liked especially about grilling season, was it just sort of had a charm to it. And I think
Mhm.
this took a big step back, and it just didn't have that charm where, with the pretty murder board, or Marla going out and singing to distract while Goldie's breaking in the house. Like it
Whoa,
just,
whoa, whoa.
uh,
She has the most beautiful murder board in this one.
but it was beautiful, but it wasn't the charm of having, like, doing the mace, like the whole thing. Like that was a redemption of the Mason thing, which wasn't even redemption, but they went through and they made the thing at the police station, right? Whereas
Mm,
she, Goldie can do it at her home, and of course she's fancy dancy, so she can do it all there. But so I just, like I said, I just thought it lacked the charm. So you could tell, I think it was there were definitely, good things. But then there was one of the things I just thought from having the different writers was, I just think some of that charm that JCP had developed took a big step back. And then talking about a big step back, Marla and Goldie's relationship, that was the thing I probably liked most about grilling season. And in this one, yeah, they still are BFFs and there still are some scenes, but it just wasn't that, hey, we're going to, you're going to jail. Okay, I'm going to be sitting there next to you kind of thing. That was just so
mhm.
much fun in the second one. So I just thought, while they still were there, it just we said that Marla and, or excuse me, Goldie and Detective Tom kind of advanced their relationship. Marla and Goldie, I think, kind of just remained a little stagnant from where they could have gone. Now they still are nice together and lovely together and individually wonderful. So it wasn't anything about their performances. I just think the story could have progressed their friendship a little bit more. So,
Mhm.
and I
Yeah.
agree kind of with you. Like I say, we'll talk about it
On the
a little
Cheez-Its, yeah.
later on some of the weird things of just the show, of the movie. All
Yeah.
right, let's get into quality of the mystery. I know you already talked about how she's bound and yet could easily tear the duct tape off with her teeth, considering her hands are
Yeah.
right there in front of her. But what about the rest?
I mean, like from the get-go, I have to say that opening to the movie and how Jessamine behaved, I was so terrible. I thought, does anyone really care that she's missing right now? Does this really
There's a
matter?
collective sigh, like,
Yeah, but also Goldie has to get paid, so makes sense. When like initially assessing the crime scene, uh they say like her hotel room, they say, oh, there's like a sign, it seems like there's signs of struggle in her hotel room, but that's a stretch because when you have ladies or besties getting ready together, it will look like a bomb went off in there, I will tell
especially
you.
a Broadzilla who's probably like going through 17 outfits for everything
Yeah.
for whatever. So I hear you.
Yeah. And for me, like the mysterious detective track with his simplistic taste in black coffee, I just hate this character trope, or they use it for detectives all the time, where they're like, oh, he's a no frills type of guy. He's used backward methods. Oh, he's like dark and swarthy or something. I'm just over it. I'm like, this guy is actually just a jerk. And he did use backward methods. And he's actually not a good police officer because he just takes like the lowest hanging fruit and thinks that's it, you know? And I, I found him just, I just
Sounds
could
like
have done
Steve
without.
Basic in Aurora Tea Garden.
Is, oh, I like, no, he, wait a minute. This guy can not hold a handle. I bet this guy has a dad bod under that shirt. Um, and also the DNA would not come back that quickly on that candlestick, saying it
DNA
was
always comes
Jessamine's.
back though in TV movies, like within 15 minutes.
I know. I was like, no, this is not believable.
Like
And anyway,
they have a
so
DNA kit out in the car that they can just run it in.
and they just happen to have her DNA, and like, I don't know. So there were little things like that where I'm being nitpicky, but it all adds up, and I
Right, right.
kind of just, yeah. What about you?
That's kind of what I had, that this things kind of didn't really make sense. And there's a whole bunch of little things that just, like you said, added up. One here or there. It's Hallmark. It's what it is, that we know we have to suspend, our belief, and sometimes the, reality. But like you say, when you just keep getting it again and again and again and again and again, it kind of is like, okay, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
Which to me just seemed, I guess the director, as who I guess I would fall on. It just seemed a little lazy to me, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And I found the actual mystery a little disappointing, because as soon as they, brought up the whole cake and the tree nut, you're like, okay, someone's dying of that tree nut allergy, right? So sorry everyone, spoiler, but it just, to me, within 20 minutes, I'm like, okay, that's it. It wasn't even like, I've talked about Mystery 101, how I figure out the formula and I can figure it out, but it's not like, it requires a little bit of effort. And
Mhm.
this one was just sort of handed to you, a nice avocado toast on a golden platter, essentially. So I just found the mystery too simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I still am entertained by the characters throughout it, but the
Hmm.
mystery itself, yeah, I just didn't enjoy it. And the whole Jessamine, like, what's the point of kidnapping her? What are you going to do? If you're going to kidnap her, you got to kill her, right? Like, or you can't let her go.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what the whole point of kidnapping her would have been. So
It didn't really make
maybe
sense.
afterwards have a nice conversation and explain what happened, and then Jessamine be like, okay, never mind. I won't tell the authorities.
She was saving her from another failed marriage. I mean,
That's true. That's true. He would have been like the Richard, Dr. Richard from the Curious Caterer books.
hmm.
Okay. Our body count's kind of interesting, because while we had one dead person, did we have a murder?
Yeah,
Was
it
it,
seemed well, she was, I feel like I I feel like there was an attempt on one, and then the other one was maybe accidental. I'm not, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I
There
think
was like
maybe we
malicious
had a
intent.
manslaughter. How's that?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I think that I've watched enough whatever crime
You,
movies to think that's
have
what
you
it is.
seen Law and Order? Then you're a lawyer.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that's like at my work. I have to film dentists talking about other procedures, and I'm pretty much convinced I could do it if it wasn't for the actual doing it. I could
Yeah.
talk. I could be at a cocktail party and talk a mean game and probably convince most people I'm a dentist. But
Should do that.
okay, so yeah, so we had one manslaughter and a kidnapping.
Yeah. Attempted to possibly.
Yeah. All right, you ready to talk style?
I am ready. Does anyone
Was the
know?
style a savior for you?
I mean, yeah, actually, probably. Does anyone know, was that 7-layer cake real? Was it actually real, or were they just pretending to frost like paper?
No, no, no. I should.
What do you think?
Well, I'll ask JC.
Because that it seemed intense, but I thought it was really beautiful, with
She
the
did
roses
say
and
when we
everything.
talked, though, that's one of the things she liked about the movies, was they actually did have a fantastic baker or whatever on the sets who made a lot of the food, especially like the first
Yeah,
one, and she was kept chowing on that. So maybe the cake was real, and after the scene, they all sat down and ate it. I don't know.
or maybe like
Good
the
question.
bottom one is, and then just like the top like 4 layers are. I don't know. And at the rehearsal dinner, I'll be honest, at the rehearsal dinner, I felt like they could have given our girl Marla a better dress. Okay. Goldie looked fabulous,
Yeah,
and
she
they
did.
had Marla dressed like a stewardess. It was a little lacking, you know.
Uh, poor
She
Marla.
she deserves to have those Gucci heels and a fancy dress. Um, the Band of Besties jackets were like were interesting. I thought it was a unique concept because I really haven't seen that as far as bachelorettes go or bridesmaids. It was interesting. I like the whole pink lady concept kind of thing. I thought the clue board was adorable and maybe the best one of this movie season so far,
No,
with the
no, I get you.
flowers and the
Right.
vines
I get
and
you. I get
yeah,
you. But she had whatever. Like I say, it just didn't have. It was cute and it was nice and all of that. It just didn't have the charm of coming in the police station and doing it. I guess that's what I'm getting at. Because you expect it in
yes,
Goldie's, residence to have that, but to have it at the police station's a whole nother story.
yeah.
So I get you.
And then Goldie's fashion has progressively become better. She always has looked good, but I feel like it's more developed now. I felt like the olive trench coat was a beautiful addition. Yeah,
2023, man, the year of the trench coat.
I think so. And hopefully, Wardrobe let the actress who played Jessamine keep one of those Jessamine shirts as a souvenir. Like when they were searching, it was like Jessamine.
Right.
And then Lucas, the boy that Goldie's daughter likes, has the best 90s boy dreamboat hair. Like it
The
was giving
Justin
Devin
Bieber hair.
Sawa. It was giving Justin or JTT from Home Improvement. It was giving the 90s with the little,
Right.
I can't explain it, but
I
it
lived
was
through it. I know
there.
what you're talking about.
Yes. So I'm here for that. What about you? Where are you at with style?
So what I missed was Marla and Goldie in those I did like the catering outfits
Mm-hmm.
that they had in grilling season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember, did they have that when they were doing the cake and they were
Yes.
there? All
Yeah.
right. I guess they showed them, but I don't know. They just seem more it just seemed more in grilling season and I kind of
Mm-hmm.
passed it. So it's just a brief scene. I would like to see more of those. But to you, like, yeah, the reception, I thought the reception played well. I loved Goldie, as you said, her throughout. Played well. Track was, yes, kind of a caricature of the bad cop kind of thing. So I'll give you that. And then also there's where Tom was wearing the brown shirt. And to me, he looked like he was, you know, some 1950s prisoner or something like that. So it just,
Mm-hmm.
brown on brown or whatever it was, just, I don't know. His wardrobe, I think, needs, and maybe it's his character, I don't know. His wardrobe needs something to happen to it because
Yeah.
I think he's shopping at like I don't know, Mervin's or something like that to get his clothes. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
He needs Goldie to step in and take over. Say, this is
I need someone.
episode 4. This is how it's going to roll.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Well,
the last
hopefully.
thing I'll say, and it's critical because the woman is just beautiful, but Nikki, when she does her straight across bangs, not a fan of that look. The little
Okay.
side bang thing, when it's got the little part going, all over it. But when it's just the straight across bangs, I don't know.
Oh, Eric, if you knew how hard it was to get those straight across bangs, they don't even move with her and they look so good. But
But they
coming from
don't.
someone who's had bangs, it's so hard to get it not to like do this in the middle and then you have you
Yeah.
on either
Well, they should have
side.
just kept it. Like I say, when it has that little side swipe going to it, it looks great. But I just, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of that. Now give me the curtain bangs from Marla, all day, every day.
Yes, we know. We
Marla.
know. Do,
I'm just
do,
going to take a
do.
moment and just reflect on her for a moment. Okay, let's move on into the ratings. Steam, steam, steam. What do we have for steam?
I'd say dribble, dribble, dribble. This is a 4 for me. And that the most of the steam that comes from that dribble is probably Jessamine and Sterling, who were like all over each other at the rehearsal dinner when they weren't fighting.
Before he goes and hits on the his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
All right. I was a little friendlier there. I gave it a 6 because they
Wow.
definitely were progressing. There was the moments like when they did the ridiculous find the key, the reenactment and finding the rental keys in the parking lot scene. But when they're reenacting and she's like right into him and this is where we'll
But that was
kiss.
like
Like
nothing.
it
It
was
wasn't
it
like,
was it was the tension building. But then you know what? Like I said, it's third episode. That's the third date. That should be like the third date rule. This is Hallmark, so she should be putting out with a kiss. There should have been a kiss at the end.
yeah.
There really should. Like when they ask on the date, will you go on a date with me? Yes, here's my 70-minute long soliloquy on baking, and then smooch, smooch.
Mm-hmm.
Should have been. Should have been, could have been. All
Mm.
right. What do you think about the story?
Gave the story a 6 because it was interesting, but yeah.
I gave it a 5. Same thing. There were a lot of the red herrings in there, but I didn't think any of them were too convincing. There were way too many little plot holes through it. So, and one big thing, and it bugged me in the previous one, and it just 10 times bugged me more, is
Mm-hmm.
how is Jessamine and Tom ever a couple?
Mm-hmm.
It just, what world could they not just dated, but got married?
It
I
didn't
don't.
make sense to me.
Right. Right. Unless maybe Tom was a raging alcoholic and it seems to be what she likes. So, and he had no idea what he was doing. And he just woke up, after a night in Mexico and he was married to her. Maybe that's
Yeah.
what it was.
He could have been a big partier up in San Francisco.
Yeah. Little of that, whatever. Tom was doing the white stuff, and that's what Track has over him.
Ugh.
Okay.
Jack is still doing it, so
That's a good point. He's stealing it from his callers. Okay. The
mm-hmm.
mystery.
I gave it a 6.
Okay. I gave it a 5 with one word, predictable. Okay. Moving on to the acting.
I gave it an 8.
Hey, I'm above you a little bit. I gave it a 9 because Tom Goldy, Marla, and Dr. Richard, they all bring it. They all
Mm-hmm.
bring it and carry everybody else along with them. So
I just could not stand Sterling or Sterling's
yeah, he's
depiction
only
of
in it
a
for
drunk
he's only in
person.
it for 5 minutes. So
Oh, he leaves an impression.
yeah.
Oh, and I
His,
can't stand Track.
his little death scene though was pretty good. Is stumbling around and then falling into the fountain. So
Yeah.
that was pretty good. All right. Style.
I did an 8 for that.
I was a little below you with a 7. Can't, the year of the trench coat. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier 2 wedding dresses. That was awesome.
It was.
So, and that was probably the best line in it. I don't remember exactly what it was, but when they rescue her and she's like, "You were going to wear that to my wedding?"
To my wedding.
Just getting, being kidnapped, tied up, and then rescued, and then that's the first thing that you focus on is what someone was going to wear to your wedding.
But she would. It was
So
in keeping.
yes, oh Jessamine. Oh wait, she lives. That means she may be in the 4th one. Let's hope not.
Oh, she will. She doesn't ever disappear
All
for
right.
long enough, I should say.
All right. What does yours add up to?
32.
At a 32 as well. We kind of got to the same place,
Wow.
a little different way, but we got to the same place. 64. So,
64 is it's okay.
It's
but
continuation.
not worth a second watch. That's right.
No, I will say, like I always say, I watch movies twice. The first time I just watch it to enjoy it, and the second time I watch through and I take notes. I just was like, no, I'm good with the one view.
You're
So
one
I
and
agree with you.
done.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Okay.
It's a shame, and I definitely want a fourth one. So I want to see. I
I'm
want to
sure
keep
it's
it
not
going.
going anywhere, Eric, so don't worry.
So yes. Okay. Well, there we go. Fatal Vows. Eh, eh.
Eh.
So all right. Well, next week is going to be exciting because we did not, because of the craziness of life, did not get our episode up last week. So we will be having our Halloween edition.
Ooh, spooky.
Where we will be talking about some movies you could watch on Halloween.
Yeah. But these aren't movies where it's gonna be like just your run-of-the-mill gross Halloween movie. They're
uh,
thought-provoking ones.
oh, you don't have Saw 4 on your list?
No, Eric, didn't you get my memo?
Uh, I trust me, I do not watch those movies, so it would not be on my list.
I can't. Although,
Okay.
do you have Netflix?
Of course I have Netflix.
Have you seen any of the promos for that one? That's it's like a mini series called The Fall of the House of Usher.
No.
Okay, that one looks spooky, but I
Wait,
guess
is it Usher?
no, no,
Oh,
it's like Edgar Allan Poe.
oh,
Um,
okay. I'm like,
but
wait, what?
that
Okay.
one looks sufficiently spooky. I think it does have some gore to it. But it has like pretty good reviews so far, and he whoever wrote it has really intertwined the whole Edgar Allan Poe theme really well into it. So I don't know. I guess if you're into gore, maybe that's a thing.
Okay.
But
No,
not Saw 4.
no. All right. Should we wrap up?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, until next time, Sydney.
Until then, Eric, see ya.
See ya. We want to be ya.
Rude.